Okay, so you can bend this way, that's fine, right? You can bend it sideways, right? So it's flat, so it's clean. Okay, that's fine. Make sure it's fully in though. So see, this side wasn't fully in. Okay, now one word of caution, right? So it's already showing up here. So you see here, this is not dangerous yet, but you see like I'm getting mighty close here, this wire to this wire inside here. Now, if you do your circuit, like now it's not busy yet, right? But when it will start to get really busy, you have to watch for, well, there'll be a case soon, okay? So I'll explain that. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, so this is pin 3, and this is the out. I'm going nowhere here, and now I need to take my diode. If you look at your LED, it's a diode, but it's a light emitting diode. If you feel the edges, there's one of the sides that will be notched, right? So it's this side in my case, right? Just put your finger and you'll feel one of the two sides is slashed, right? It's been like slashed. Okay, so that tells you this side is it's where the arrow points, if that makes sense, right? It's the direction of the arrow, right? It's like the front of the diode. Okay, so this means that needs to go to my ground, so this side. Well, how about that? It's convenient. Look here, I got a ground on pin 7, right? That's my ground, right? Right, so how about I connect on my resistor on here, and then bring this leg to pin 7, right? So now it's going resistor and then to pin 7. So this is lovely, this is working. Okay? Make sure it's fully in, don't overdo it, okay? Just slightly push. Okay, so our chip is powered and our out is wired. Any question that would be helpful for the video? Any question? Anyone? No? Okay. So let's keep going. So now gets the interesting part. This is the part that gets a bit trickier. So now we need to wire our two push buttons on the inputs. Right. Well, there's many ways to do it. So here's another way to do it. Okay, so the first thing to notice is those push buttons, right? When they're shipped, right? Seriously, just trying to make it hold. When we receive them, their legs are spaced out, and that's actually 3 rows on the breadboard. Many times what the kids do is they bend these two here because they think they have to go in two rows, one by each other, this way. But they're actually made to be spaced so there's a row in between, this way, right? And then as you plunk it down, it will go straight down really nice, okay? So notice that. So one thing we could do here, well, I'm trying to make it simple here. Okay, so how about I wire one straight on my out here, which is my 5 volt. So how about I wire one right here? Now notice it's 2 rows away, right, to connect back, right? So you need to know that, right? So I'll wire from my 3rd one, right? So here, actually I'll go here, and then I'll go to pin 1. Okay. Okay, so now my push button is connecting on my VCC, which is my 5 volt, touching here 2 rows up on 40, and then I'm throwing this to pin 1. Okay. Now we need to do the same for the second push. What's up? Okay, hold on. I'm recording this, right? Okay, so we'll check that your box doesn't have the red one. Maybe you have the red ones, the big red ones. Okay, so now I'm going to, since I'm throwing my plus 5 volt on pin 14 here, and I need to connect to a plus, well, how about I put my other switch here on connecting on pin 14, and then plunk it down, leave one row between, right? And then if you push it down, then this row will be my line going to input 2, to pin 2, right? So I can connect, say, here. So if that makes sense, right? So now I got my 2 switches, which are getting fed 5 volts, plus 5 volts, right? And now I'm going to pin 1 and pin 2. Okay, so that totally works. Okay, now for the fun part. Now I need my pull down resistors, right? Can someone explain the pull down resistor? What's their job? I summed it up yesterday, 2 days ago. Can someone sum it up quick? What's the job of my pull down? It's technical, so maybe you just don't remember. What are my, on the board there, what's the job of my 2 pull down resistors? So they ensure that when there's no 1 on the inputs here, so when my 2 push buttons are not going to be pushed, it ensures that my chip knows that I mean a 0. So if I didn't have my 2 pull down resistors, which I'm going to wire soon, my chip wouldn't know that I have a 0 when I'm not pushing on my push buttons. Okay, so we're cheating. But this is not me that invented that. This is, every engineer does it that way. Okay? All right. So you take your 2 high value resistors, and now we need to go to the ground from each of them, right? So look how convenient that is. We got a ground on pin 7 here, right? Right? Because that came from my 7805 middle pin, went straight to pin 7. So again, look at this resistor. Okay, so that's been fixed by me, but it's still all bent out of shape. Okay, that doesn't need to happen. Okay, resistors are super cheap, but the point is not to just, right? Because they get destroyed over time. When we keep bending them, the legs become like you guys might have some of them in your boxes that are absolutely out of shape. Okay. And even better, it might be you that did that. Okay, so just be careful with them, please. Okay, all right. So look how I bend them. Okay, this is the right way. You take it like vertically, if I can say that. Take it between your fingers, and then you just bend the 2 legs. Like, how hard is that, right? And then it makes a nice natural bend, and then you can plunk it down. Right. So I need from pin 1. Right, so I need from pin 1, which is here, I need to go to the ground. Right, so you see that? This is good. So I went pin 1 over my resistor here. They're not touching, right? If I go sideways, right, this is what it's looking like. Okay, and then I go on pin 7. Now this is where it gets important to not have wires possibly touch. Okay, so make sure they can't touch. And then, because I'm trying to save wires, right? Having wires is annoying. Okay, so you take your pin 2 with the other resistor. So you go pin 2, and then you go pin 7. So 7 and pin 2. Okay, so this way. So I am done. I am done. So this is what it's looking like. Yes?
Can you show us 2 resistors again before you close that?
Yeah, so you go pin 1. Right, so notice this is my first one here. So I go pin 1 and I go to pin 7. Right, because that's a ground, right? Because my goal is to have them, here. Because my goal is to go pin 1 resistor ground, right, as on the drawing. It's on the blog if you're watching that. Right, so this is the same pin as I connected my diode to, right, my LED. And then I'll do the same with pin 2, right? So it's right here, Then if you look, it's going to pin 7. No, but like, I need you to understand, is that the only way I could have wired that? Is that the only place I have a ground, pin 7? Hello, is it? No, where else could I have gone? Well, how about, I could have gone right here directly to the 05, right? Could have gone to pin 2. Does that make sense? I could have taken my resistors, and instead of going here, I could have gone to pin 2 here. Because that's still a ground. Is that making sense? So this is why I think electronics is so interesting. Because each of you, when you build your circuits, like every year when I build my circuit, every year it's different. It's literally a piece of art every time. Okay? And the only challenge is to do it well, right? Right? To make it safe. Okay, so I'm ready, right? I want to see that working now. So this is the 32. So that's the OR. Okay, so now I take my clips. So let me zoom out. Right? So I got my power. So I go negative, right? So make sure they're twisted nice. And then you force it straight down, right? Okay, so you go here. That's my ground. Oh, that didn't go well. Okay, there. Right, so I'm on pin 2 now. That's my black. And then my plus will go pin 1. Right, so make sure it's nice. Go pin 1 of the 7805. Right, so right here. And then I'm ready to power that. Right, so I just put my battery. If I didn't do mistakes, right, I went slow, right, so I'm pretty sure I didn't do mistakes here, right, so that's why I'm not pausing, but normally I would pause. So that's the OR, so if I did it well, the minute I push either of the buttons, the LED will go on, right? So the minute I push either of the buttons, it goes on, and then if I push both, it's still on. Perfect, so it did work. Easy enough. Okay, disconnect your battery, right? And then just to prove that this works, I'll remove my chip, and then I'll plunk. Notice I disconnected my battery, right? You don't do that with the power on. And now allowing on pin 7, right? So that nothing has moved. Now this is my AND, right? Right? And the pins are the same, right? Pin 1 and 2 are an input, 3 is an out, right? So now if I power that, I should see the AND gate, where if I push 1,